All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and our latest set of RBT practice questions where we're going to list a set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. As always, when you pass, please let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. Since you were the behavior technician on Jerry's case, today you run into his mom and strike up a conversation with her. She asks if you would like to go on a date sometime. What is the most ethical response according to the ethics code? Now, in this situation, you're a behavior technician who is no longer working with this client, and you run into his mom and strike up a conversation with her. Now, if you live in a small city or a very tight-knit community, this might not be out of the ordinary, right? I've seen clients and stakeholders out before. Well, this is a little unique because now you no longer work with this client. And in this case, the stakeholder, Jerry's mom, asks if you want to go on a date. So what is the rule? What is the ethical rule on dating former clients and stakeholders? That's an important distinction. We obviously cannot date current clients and stakeholders, but this is not your case anymore. It's been a year and a half, which is very important because there's a certain timeline. So what is the most ethical response according to the ethics code? A, if you would like to go on a date, accept; if not, decline. Well, unfortunately, it's not that simple. The ethics code says what? The ethics code says we have to wait 2 years to date former clients and stakeholders. So A, we haven't waited long enough. B, explain that you're not allowed to date former clients or stakeholders. Well, that's just not true. You just have to wait a certain amount of time, specifically 2 years. C, explain that you must wait 2 years before you can date former clients or stakeholders. Exactly. That is the rule. That is the ethical code. We must wait 2 years before we can date former clients or stakeholders. And then D, decline and explain that it isn't appropriate that she would ask that question. Well, not necessarily. She obviously feels comfortable with you if she's asking this question, and you're no longer their professional therapist, right? So in reality, it's just you and her in a social situation. So there's nothing really inherently wrong with what she did. We just still have to abide by the ethics code because you're a behavior technician. And being a behavior technician, you must wait 2 years before you can date former clients or stakeholders. So you must explain to her that you have to wait at least another half year before you can date her. You went to several garage sales over the weekend and bought several toys and other items that you think your clients might enjoy. You want to establish a preference hierarchy with your clients using the items you bought. What assessment would be best to establish a hierarchy? Now, all 4 of these assessments possibly could establish a hierarchy, right? And a hierarchy is just a ranking or a list of what's best preferred to what's worse. And in a preference hierarchy, we're trying to establish what does the client prefer the most and what do they prefer the least? Because we know just because they prefer it does not mean it's going to make it reinforcing. So we've got to figure out what do they prefer first so we can do reinforcer assessments. Now, what assessment is going to be best? That's the key word to establish this hierarchy because you have several toys and other items that you think they might enjoy. So A, single choice. A single choice isn't great for a hierarchy because all you're really doing is giving one item at a time. And it's hard to compare that because you're not comparing them against anything. Now, you could take duration data, let's say, on how long they engage with each item, but there's a lot of outside factors that could influence length of time, right? So single choice isn't great for hierarchy. B, pair choice or forced choice. According to the literature, a pair choice or forced choice assessment is the best assessment for establishing a hierarchy. And why is that? Well, because if you have, let's say, 5 items, you are going to compare every single item 1-to-1 with every other item. Meaning, if I have a fire truck, an iPad, and an iPhone, I'm going to compare iPad to iPhone, iPad to fire truck, iPhone to fire truck, and we're going to compare each item to other items and make the client choose. So we can actually get a sense of what do they prefer or what do they not prefer compared to each other. Now, multiple stimulus with and without replacement you're able to compare a lot of items all at once. But with replacement, right, you're removing a bunch of those items. So you're not really comparing them over and over again. Without replacement, you might get like a list, right? Because if I have 8 items, whatever item's chosen, I'm going to take out, and then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But again, you're not necessarily directly comparing each item one to one. So the best way to establish a hierarchy is a paired choice or a forced choice assessment. You love the lemon potatoes from your local Greek restaurant. However, when asked if you want to get Greek food for dinner, you say you are actually thinking of doing something else since you've had Greek food 3 times in the last 2 weeks. You most likely are blank on/of Greek food. Pretty straightforward question. The question prompt is a little obscure, but let's break it down. Let's think about it, right? Because we always break down our question first before going to the answers. So you love lemon potatoes from the Greek restaurant. However, someone asked if you want to get Greek food. You said, I'm going to do something else, I think. I've had Greek food 3 times in the last 2 weeks. So what does that immediately say to you? Something should immediately jump out to you. To me, it says, I'm tired of Greek food. I've had Greek food a lot, and now I no longer have the motivation to eat Greek food currently. And why do we lose motivation, or why do learners lose motivation or lose preference for things? What do we call that? A, satiated or satiation. Yes, you most likely are satiated on Greek food. Remember, satiation is associated with our motivating operation. And when you're satiated on something, you've had enough of it. You've had too much of it. You're tired of it. At that time, you don't want any more of it. It's why we always try to find multiple items that our clients enjoy, because we want to avoid satiation, because if we only have one item that they enjoy and we're using it every time for reinforcement, we run the risk of them satiating and it no longer holding motivation. So I've eaten these lemon potatoes 3 times in the last 2 weeks. They no longer hold the power they once did. I'm satiated. Deprived is when you don't get enough of something. So if I don't eat Greek food for 2 weeks, now I'm deprived. The opposite happens. All of a sudden, my motivation to eat the lemon potatoes starts to go up again. Tired and regressing are words we don't use when we're describing things in technical terms, which you're always doing on the exam. Tired is a mental state, it's a mentalism. Regressing is a common word you might use in practice, but on the exam, you're never going to use regressing. It's not one of our terms or concepts. What has happened is you most likely satiated on the lemon potatoes. So now you're going to take a break. You're going to deprive yourself until the motivation is back up to go get Greek. You work in a daycare as a behavior technician. The supervising analyst designs a single task chain to teach all the children how to throw away their trash after they are done eating. If you implemented this one task chain using forward chaining with all the children, what is the most likely outcome? All right, slow down. A lot going on in this question. Never jump straight to the answer choices. Let's break this down. The question is asking, if you implement this one task chain with all the children, what is likely to occur? So you got to start thinking like an analyst here. We've got a single task chain we're going to use for all these children. Now, just common sense, first instinct, what's the issue with that? Well, are all children the same? No. We'd never write the same behavior plan or treatment plan for all children. We shouldn't use just one task chain for all children. That task chain should be personalized. So this analyst designed a single task chain to teach all the children how to throw away their trash after they're done eating. And now they're going to use it for all the children, just one task chain. What is likely to occur if you use an unpersonalized, unindividualized intervention with a bunch of different people? A, the children will all start to throw their trash away after eating. That is not the most likely outcome. There's a good chance that this task chain doesn't work for some of the children. It's not personalized. It's not individualized. B, the task chain will include every step necessary for every child. Well, no, it's likely these children are on different developmental levels, different skill levels. We might need different steps for different children. C, the task chain will not be sufficient to teach some of the children. That is what's most likely to occur. We never use a catch-all, be-all intervention, task chain, treatment plan, however you want to say it, however you want to describe it. across all children. Each child must be assessed individually. D, you will likely need to use backwards chaining for all the children. Well, we don't know. We didn't assess each child. We have to assess each child and give them each their own individual task chain that works for them. If we use one task chain for all of them, the most likely outcome is the task chain will not be sufficient to teach some of the children. A client is playing Zingo with his technician. Another client walks in the room and asks if he can join, but says he does not know how to play. The first client shows him the different pieces and where to put them. The second client watches and then puts the pieces in the right spot. The second client is engaging in what? Remember, when we have behavior questions with multiple people, always identify who we're talking about. Who is the question asking about? Question is asking about second client. What is the second client doing? Well, the second client walks in the room and says, I want to join. I don't know how to play. So the first client does what? They show them the pieces and where to put them. The second client watches, puts the pieces in the right spot. So the second client watched the first client model what to do with the different pieces and where to put them. The second client, in response, imitated the model. So this question is really asking you about the difference between a model and the imitator. The model is the person demonstrating the skill or behavior. Imitation, or the imitator, is the person who's watching the model and then repeating after them. The second client is not the model, they're the imitator. So the second client is engaging in B, imitation. Shaping is out. There's no approximations here. Shaping should not even cross your mind. And then D, functional communication. Again, are we communicating in anything here? Are we teaching them to communicate in anything? No. First client is showing them how to play Zingo. Put this piece on this piece. This is where it goes. It's not a communication training. It's not communication modeling. It's simply, this is Zingo. The second client is engaging in imitation of the first client. Although extinction bursts result in an initial increase in the frequency of the targeted behavior, an extinction burst can also be a positive signal. Why is that? So let's think about this. We're talking about extinction burst and an increase in the frequency of the targeted behavior. Well, that doesn't sound great, right? We don't want the frequency of the targeted behavior to go up if we are going through extinction. However, extinction bursts occur, they're predictable, they're likely to happen. And why might they be positive? Why might an extinction burst be a positive signal? And why is extinction sometimes hard? Well, it's sometimes hard because we've got to explain to stakeholders that if they are implementing extinction correctly, there's a good chance that at first the behavior is going to increase. But that's okay, because that's usually a good sign that you're doing it correctly. So why is it a positive signal? A, the extinction burst signals extinction will definitely be effective. Well, that's a little strong. We can't say definitely. It's a good sign that extinction is likely already effective, but definitely we can't say definitely. A is out. B, the extinction burst signals the maintaining reinforcer was identified. Yes, extinction, the whole idea of extinction is withholding reinforcement. So if we're withholding the right reinforcer, an extinction burst is a good sign. We found the right reinforcement. C, the extinction burst signals that extinction is occurring 100% of the time. Although we want extinction to occur 100% of the time, we can't know that for sure. The extinction burst can occur even without 100% of the time. And then D, the extinction burst is a sign to start reducing extinction. Just because the extinction burst occurs doesn't mean we need to start reducing extinction. In fact, that means we need to continue what we're doing. An extinction burst is a good sign. When it's occurring, it means we're close to getting that behavior to its peak, and then we're going to watch it decrease. So an extinction burst is a good sign because it signals the maintaining reinforcer was likely identified. Fantastic. Thank you for watching. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials and combo pack. As always, when you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.